Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Thank you for joining me on this Friday, July 11th. The city of Victoria worked overnight to address low chlorine levels that led officials to issue a citywide boil water notice earlier this week. Public Works crews flushed 2 of the city's 5 water towers and nearby fire hydrants, replacing older water while adding chlorine to the system. According to the city, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality reported chlorine levels of 0.3 parts per million in the area of John Stockbauer Drive and Miori Lane. Minimum requirement is 0.5 ppm. Before the boil water notice can be lifted, the city must collect water samples from 16 sites across the system and confirm that chlorine levels meet the required standards. Officials said they hope to complete the necessary corrections by today so samples can be submitted for testing. The process requires at least 24 hours for incubation, meaning the earliest the notice could be lifted is tomorrow. In the meantime, residents are advised to boil water for at least 2 minutes before using it for drinking, cooking, or making ice. Showering and bathing is considered safe as long as water is not swallowed or allowed into the eyes, nose, or mouth. U.S. Senate candidate Collin Allred will be in Edinburgh today to discuss the impact of rising costs in the Rio Grande Valley. Allred will be joined by former congressional candidate Michelle Viejo at Los Pinos Hardware. The visit comes a week after Allred announced his run for the U.S. Senate with a focus on lowering costs. It's now been 1 full week since the deadly July 4th floods in the Texas Hill Country. There are now over 120 confirmed fatalities and more than 160 people still missing. Bill Blackburn served 4 years as the mayor of Kerrville before stepping down in 2022.
I feel like there's a blanket of grief and sadness just over this community. When you think about the lives lost, the numbers missing, the structural damage, the natural beauty that is so hurt, it is just almost too much.
Blackburn says in his 40 years in the area, he'd never seen the Guadalupe River spill over its banks as fast as it did last Friday. Governor Abbott earlier this week ordered all Texas flags on state buildings and state property to fly at half-staff in remembrance of those who lost their lives in the Central Texas floods. The flags will remain lowered until sunrise on Monday. Abbott is also encouraging all residents and businesses to fly their flags at half-staff as a mark of respect and remembrance for the victims. Later today, President Trump will visit the Texas Hill Country 1 week after the devastating flooding. And over 2,100 people are taking part in the ongoing search of the Upper Guadalupe after the July 4th weekend's flash flood. Texas Public Radio's Yvette Benavides reports that a specialized crew from Mexico is assisting in the search.
A 13-person crew composed of members from the Rescate Acuático de Protección Civil y Bomberos de Acuña, Coahuila, in coordination with Fundación 911, joined local Texas firefighters in the rescue efforts following the devastating flash floods in the Texas Hill Country. Ismael Aldaba is the president of Fundación 911. He says that even though the team has been to many other disasters, the situation on the ground in the Hill Country is beyond what he has seen before.
It's the devastation. It's the challenge for the search. We're looking for signs of life and cadavers. There's so much devastation. It's just amazing.
The crews are scouring a 60-mile stretch of the Guadalupe River and surrounding debris zones. I'm Yvette Benavides in San Antonio.
Meanwhile, the Texas House and Senate are establishing select committees for the state's upcoming special session that'll focus on the Hill Country floods and disaster-related measures. The Texas Newsroom's Blaze Gainey has more details.
The select committees will have 30 days to create legislation that will upgrade flood warning systems and emergency communications and provide relief funding for areas impacted by the floods. Andrew Kruchkevich, a hydrometeorologist and senior researcher at Columbia University at the Climate School, says that lawmakers should get answers to what took place.
What were the discussions? How were different areas prioritized or deprioritized? These are questions that must be included in the post-event analysis.
The special session begins on July 21st. For the Texas Newsroom, I'm Blaze Gainey.
Over $170 million in funds were allocated for schools across South Texas. Final fiscal year 2025 Title I formula allocation funds were released by the U.S. Department of Education. Title I funds provide for the development and creation of opportunities for student success. Provided to school districts across the region include Brownsville ISD with with $30.5 million, Edinburgh Consolidated ISD with $26.9 million, Kingsville ISD $2.385 million, McAllen ISD $15.8 million, and Weslaco ISD with $10.7 million. A San Juan-based nonprofit is teaming up with Hidalgo County to help educate the public on how to prepare for hurricane season. La Unión de Pueblo Entero, or LUPE, is partnering up with the Hidalgo County Office of Emergency Management for the meeting. The meeting will run from 6 through 8 p.m. at the LUPE San Juan office, located at 1601 U.S. Business 83. Hidalgo County Precinct 2 Commissioner Eddie Cantu and Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator Bianca Ortiz will be among the speakers in the meeting. The event is open to the public. The city of Corpus Christi will soon start street reconstruction work on Huntwick Avenue at South Staple Street near the HEB Plus. The work will completely reconstruct the existing roadway with new concrete pavement, curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. The project includes ADA-compliant curb ramps plus related signage and pavement markings. Related utility and drainage improvements are also included. The over $950,000 project is funded through Type B street funds. The work will improve the roadway and traffic flow and is scheduled to begin Monday. Estimated completion date is in November. The Weslaco Chamber of Commerce is helping families get ready for school and asking for people to donate gently used or new school uniforms for elementary and middle school students. The uniform donation and swap event started earlier this week and ends on July 31st. Clothes will be distributed to children in need next month. Donations can be dropped off at the Weslaco Chamber of Commerce, located at 275 South Kansas Avenue. For more information, call 956-460-7790. Rural volunteer fire departments across Texas will benefit from a $192 million grant program announced by the Texas A&M Forest Service. The funding aims to enhance firefighting resources by helping departments acquire additional fire trucks and updated protective equipment. The grants from the Texas A&M Forest Service are expected to be awarded to volunteer departments early next year. Governor Abbott has directed lawmakers to come up with a replacement for the STAR test as part of the special session. Houston Public Media's Andrew Schneider reports it's an open question how well that will address the problems critics have with the way standardized tests are used in Texas.
STAR test results play a critical role in the grades schools themselves receive. As Houston ISD learned, that can make the difference between remaining independent and being taken over by the state. Duncan Klusman is a professor at the University of Houston's College of Education.
It's often more not the test itself, but it's often how they use the information and how they use the information in punitive ways towards school districts. That tends to be what people object to more than the test itself. But the STAR test gets the blame because it's the test that's given.
Klusman says ending the STAR test wouldn't mean the end of standardized testing itself in Texas. Even if the STAR test is eliminated, it would likely be phased out over a few years rather than being replaced overnight. I'm Andrew Schneider in Houston.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's wife has filed for divorce. Angela Paxton, a state senator who represents North Texas, made the announcement yesterday. As the Texas Newsroom's Lauren McGahee reports, this will be a political liability for AG Paxton as the conservative Republican runs to unseat U.S. Senator John Cornyn.
Social media site X, Angela Paxton said she was filing for divorce on biblical grounds. She wrote, quote, "In light of recent discoveries, I do not believe that it honors God or is loving to myself, my marriage, or Ken to remain in the marriage." Paxton, in his own X post, said the two, quote, "decided to start a new chapter in our lives," and said he was proud of the family they created. Ken Paxton's alleged infidelity was first revealed in connection to impeachment charges filed against him more than 2 years ago. He beat the charges and his wife stood by him at the time. The couple's current marital troubles will undeniably impact Ken Paxton's run for U.S. Senate. Incumbent John Cornyn has long criticized Paxton's history of alleged corruption and ethical lapses. The Cornyn campaign declined to comment on the divorce news. I'm Lauren McGahee in Austin.
A Texas child advocacy group says there were some wins the last legislative session, but as KERA's Bill Ziebel reports, there were also some major losses.
Bob Sanborn, president and CEO of Children at Risk, summarized parts of this year's legislative session into the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good included $100 million for child care subsidies. The ugly? Governor Abbott's veto of the $60 million summer EBT program included in the state's budget.
To have this pass the House pass the Senate and then have the governor veto it was really quite ugly.
Abbott cited uncertainty over federal match rates for the summer food program. Sanborn says 11 bills Children at Risk drafted passed and were signed by the governor. I'm Bill Ziebel in Dallas.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. Cosplay, comics, and culture enthusiasts rejoice as Corpus Christi Comic Con returns this weekend. The 3-day event kicks off today at the American Bank Center from noon to 7 p.m., 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow, and 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday. This year's convention will feature cosplay contests for adults and children, and attendees can expect guest appearances from well-known actors connected to franchises like Harry Potter, Star Wars, The Office, and more. Vendors will sell everything from comic books to original artwork and handmade crafts. There will also be panels, Q&A sessions, and meet and greets with celebrity guests. Tickets can be purchased online at CorpusChristiComicCon.com or at the door. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. If you missed any stories from today, you can replay South Texas Midday wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.